Barenbaum, author of A Bend in the Stars. And today I'm here for the most fabulous of all interviews because we're both in sequins with Kelly Ford, the amazing, fantastic author of Cottonmouths. Her book just dropped in paperback. I loved it when it came out in hardback. Kelly, tell me, what is your book about?
Yes, it is chickens, lesbians, and meth. I have all three. So in Cottonmouths, a woman becomes an unwitting accomplice in her former best friend and true love's small town drug operation, like you do, igniting old wounds and threatening to expose addictions both of them would rather keep concealed.
Cottonmouths is often shelved as LGBTQ literature. How do you feel about being pigeonholed that way?
I don't mind so much. I think the only time I mind is if it's only considered LGBT and queer fiction. And it is a queer book, and I want it to be a queer book. I'm out, I'm proud, everybody knows it. But also I've always wanted to make sure it gets out into the larger audience in terms of gritlit. I mean, it's a crime novel as well, but it's also queer desire. So I'm always like, it's queer desire and crime. So, but I think especially as the paperbacks come out, I've reached a larger audience with that.
It's like calling a book women's fiction.
Oh, right?
You know?
It's like, yeah, we know we're women's fiction, duh. But we also are just fiction. So how about describe us as, you know, what it's actually about instead?
At one point, it's mentioned that the meth lab is a means to an end. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's a means to an end. And so what I wanted to do with Cottonmouths is also just highlight really why people get into some of these situations, like having a family member who was involved in a similar situation. It's just nobody goes into something like this being like, I want to be a criminal, you know. A lot of people get into these situations because of socioeconomic reasons and, you know, other emotional baggage that they carry from their families. And so I really just wanted to explore that a little bit from the perspective of someone who is going through this.
Cottonmouths deals with some serious subjects, and you are from Arkansas. The book is set there. Can you tell us why, what you're trying to get at?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's where I came of age, and I didn't leave Arkansas until after I left college. So it's so much a part of me, and it's so much a part of my experience. It's home for me. I have such a love-hate relationship, but it's always also wanting to see myself reflected in the place that I grew up, and I didn't have that. And so much of it is just, you know, presenting this other view of that world from a different perspective than perhaps a lot of people know. Because most people forget that Arkansas even exists.
Like me, you are a graduate of the Novel Incubator at Grub Street. Tell me about that program.
Yes, I was in the inaugural class, so we were definitely the guinea pigs. And when I was in the class, it was both Michelle Hoover and Lisa Borders. So I got lucky by having two mentors out of the process, and we just had a blast. It was the beginning of the program. We weren't really sure how anything would go, but it was amazing. As you know, I think we're in our 10th or 11th year now with the program. And so it's been incredible to be a part of the alumni, and there's really nothing like getting that feedback from that class, and just went through some intensive revision with this book here.
So how long did it take you to write Cottonmouths?
Oh God, all told, about 14 years. That sounds terrible. I should say that's from start to finish, but I also had a full-time job in between there working in IT. So I had to take many breaks, but it took a long time from start to finish. But that was about it, from first draft to publishing.
When did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Oh God, that's a very long answer. And I'm just going to say, I didn't really know until I started really doing it. I always wrote, but I never really thought, hey, I'm going to be a writer. It was just something I always did in various forms.
You've been a fantastic mentor to me along the way. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What advice do you have for other new or debut writers?
I think it's what you had mentioned on a Writer's Bone podcast, which is just to be patient. I mean, of course, this took me 14 years, so I have enormous amounts of patience, but really not trying to stress too much about getting it out the door, and just take that time, you know, doing the fine-tooth comb read-throughs and revisions of making sure it's the best it can possibly be, because once it's out, it's out. Can't go back.
Thank you so much for coming on. Kelly, may you sell many, many books.
Yes, let's shimmy out.